Welcome to page 9 of Heyzoos the Coked-Up Chicken, issue number 2, where Heyzoos, who's a professional video game reviewer, reviews a game called Speedy McGroundhog, which is a parody of Sonic the Hedgehog, obviously. And the entire concept of Heyzoos is that he's whacked out on space coke, which is a magical ore that keeps him alive, since Heyzoos is from another dimension. He requires space coke as fuel. I require coffee. And, well, space coke has quite a few side effects. So when he reviews games, he frequently finds himself in a bizarre, distorted version of that game. That is the concept of the strip, of the books. So, now they're fun to draw because they're out there. And I like that freedom to just do whatever I want. What I'm doing here is building my frame. I use a template and then just assemble the frame out of chunks of my template, and there might be easier ways to do it, but this is what I've been doing for a while. So I piece it together, and then at the final step, one of the final steps, I go in and just clean it up. Only takes about a minute. Alright, here's first panel. Pretty simple drawing. I'm probably going to do some alternating of background colors for contrast. I don't put a lot of background work into the Heyzoos books. And that actually makes them go pretty smoothly. I find that I spend if I do background work, it takes forever. So I frequently don't do much background work. I think for my style, the character expressions are what really the storytelling and the character expressions are the steal the show. You know, if you read something like Blame from Tsutomu Nihai or something like that, or any of Shiro's Appleseed work, I mean, in their case, like they were so good at drawing detailed environments. I can't even imagine how long it took them. But I think that was a big part of those particular stories, the environment. And for me, it's not the environment so much; it's the characters. So I don't draw backgrounds, not necessarily because I'm lazy. I could draw a background, but do you need a detailed background to laugh at Edit Station 1? No, you don't. So I'm probably just going to use a black background. There's my sketch layer, which I drew on iPad. I'm going to make a new layer for inks. And again, if I was doing a more complicated page, something like Ethel the Cyborg Ninja or Magnum Skywolf, I would probably do multiple ink layers. But for this, I'm just going to do one, since it's Edit Station 1. Like Heyzoos, he's just a couple geometric shapes with angles to the lines that reflect his emotion. So let's dive in here. Oops, wrong color. Let's dive in here. Sometimes I'll use this as his mouth. That's actually his Laserdisc slot, which you might remember from Ethel the Cyborg Ninja. And if you haven't read that one, I think it's a fun read. I am biased. But Edit Station 1, inadvertently over the years, has turned into like the one character, I think, who links all of my stories together. He's not necessarily in every book, but let's just say that he could be in every book. And perhaps he will be. But you have to read some additional storyline first to see how that may or may not be possible. I'm not giving away anything, I'm just saying. Edit Station 1 will be in Turbo Volcano at the end of the year. He is the band's sound engineer for Turbo Volcano, which is going to be a comic I'm putting out at the very end of the year if I can get it done in time. If I can't, it'll slip into 2018, but hopefully I can get it done by the end of this year. I'm still working on character sketches and whatnot right now. Coming up with the rough plot in my head, but I gotta do the whole thing. I thought, you know, there's a reason I can fit Edit Station 1 in there. I just thought it'd be funny if he was... And it kind of makes sense, too, that you need a sound engineer. Like, he's basically the band's roadie. Probably a better way to put that. So Edit Station 1 does, like, the mixing boards and whatnot when the band is performing. And Turbo Volcano is a group of intergalactic mercenaries fighting the Monarch. Well, they're not fighting the Monarch per se, they're actually mercenaries, but they do ultimately end up fighting the Monarch, who is the corrupt supreme leader of the universe. So Turbo Volcano is like a combination of like an 80s rock cartoon and an 80s cartoon western. And it will not be for children. Just put in some word balloons for Heyzoos. Uh-oh. The game is starting to fry his brain. And I was going to use the speed of the game, but then down here he says the speed of light is my bitch, so I didn't want to repeat the word speed back to back. I didn't think that read well, so. Draw Heyzoos front on here, which is always kind of a strange angle for him. Increase my brush size a little bit. It's one thing I love about drawing digital, is that you can just instantly click a button and increase your brush size. This is one of these panels where you should just look at his eyes and the tongue hanging out of his mouth and laugh. Nothing more. Alright. And I'll do a little background starburst pattern, I think. Come back to a 30-point pen. Select the inks layer. There we go. It's like a teardrop, this pear-shaped body. Alright, sorry, camera's wobbling again. Off camera I did some cleanup. So we'll see that here. I still got a lot of detail work to do just to clean up the inks, but I merged the layers. I'll put the side detailing on Edit Station 1 here. Alright. Now is where this comic starts to get weird. As if it was totally normal beforehand. You can see I did some cleanup work up here. And Heyzoos is everywhere at once since he's traveling faster than the speed of light. I can do all the games at the same time. And since it's a comic book, Heyzoos can do all of the games at the same time, which brings us to page 10 that you're not going to see today. But it gets interesting. That's what I love about drawing Heyzoos. It's just I don't have to worry about any constraints set by the laws of reality, since he's basically, whacked out of his mind. Anything goes, and that's fun. That's fun to draw. That's fun to write. It's a very different style than I would use for like Magnum Skywolf, for example, which is based somewhat more in reality, but reality as well, you'll see. And then there's Turbo Volcano, which is going to be just absurd. And Retro Megatrex. Did I get his arm in there too long? No, that's okay. I can stretch his arms a little bit here and there. There's the dog. She's very excited about Turbo Volcano, and me too. Gotta write it first. The writing has all started to fall together this year. It took a while. I mean, it really took me, in between doing all the classic game room stuff, it took a while to figure out the plot for Lord Karnage. And once I got the Lord Karnage plot and characters down, that gave me the ideas to head into Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, which was a more complex book than Lord Karnage. I really wanted to challenge myself, and that one was indeed a challenge. And then out of Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, came more refined, even more refined characters. And then as I'm working on the second book, I had this writing logjam where I just couldn't quite figure out the next thing I wanted to do in Lord Karnage. I had a couple rough ideas, but then I broke it. And what I came up with, which I'm not going to tell you, but you'll see it unfold throughout 2017's comics, ties everything together in a pretty awesome way, I think. No, the Heyzoos series is sort of a standalone series, though, since these are just the stories of Heyzoos reviewing things high on space coke. Little different. All right, let me think here. There we go. All right. Not going to come off the panel on that one. There's one leg is going to be wrapping around back there. All right, there's the final page for today. It's not complete, obviously. Still got a good bit of cleanup to do, but I'm liking the direction this one's heading. All right. Heyzoos the Coked-Up Chicken #2 should be out in May, and I'm expecting about a 30 to 36 page story, and then probably about 20 pages of some extras, some sketches, and outtakes and whatnot. So you can look for that in May. See you soon.
Classic Game Room is brought to you by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, Book 1, and Heyzoos the Coked-Up Chicken #1, Special Edition, now on Amazon. Welcome to the Lord Karnage Club, being shouted from within. A turbo volcano! Starting with Andy and Abby Schleiss. Jeff Breyer. Derek Langley. Michael and Ariana Nelson. Benjamin Woodring. Steven Chucknick. Al Stever. Ian Shore. You sure are awesome. Jason Goy. Sergio Matthias Hergert. Chip Sinkbale. Busy Signal. Sean Zoltek. Rick DeBarros. Philip Strabenmuller. Jack Stavris. Ohad Kane. And Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal. Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal.